Hey, so today I'm going to be reading John chapter 21, verses 1 through 14. Jesus revealed himself again to his disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. He revealed himself in this way. Together were Simon Peter, Thomas called Didymus, sorry, I'm probably butchering that, Nathanael from Canaan in Galilee, Zebedee's sons, and two others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, I am going fishing. And they said to him, we will come with you also. So they went out and they got into a boat, but that night they caught nothing. When it was already dawn, Jesus was standing on the shore, but the disciples did not realize it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, Children, have you caught anything to eat? They answered him, No. So he said to them, Cast the net over the right side of the boat, and you will find something. So they cast it, and they were not able to pull it because of the number of fish. So the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, It is the Lord. When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he tucked in his garment, for he was lightly clad, and jumped into the sea. The other disciples came in the boat, for they were not far from shore, only about 100 yards, dragging the net with fish. When they climbed out on shore, they saw a charcoal fire with fish on it and bread. Jesus said to them, Bring some of the fish you have just caught. So Simon Peter went over and dragged the net ashore, full of 153 large fish. Even though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, Come, have breakfast. And none of the disciples dared to ask him, Who are you? Because they realized it was the Lord. Jesus came over and took the bread and gave it to them, and in like manner the fish. This was the third time now that Jesus had revealed to his disciples after being raised from the dead. There's a lot left out here. I think the Gospels give us the nitty gritty, but it's kind of interesting. Simon Peter says he's going to go fishing, and I'm not surprised that the others joined in. He was kind of the leader. He was the leader of the pack, so to speak. But why did he go fishing? I guess I heard a sermon one time where Peter was looking for something to do. And Peter went out to look for something to do, and he encountered Christ in a hard day's work. We can encounter Christ anywhere if we avail ourselves to it. But you see here, a little bit later on, somebody had to tell him, hey, it's the Lord. Peter didn't know it. He got maybe a little bit too wrapped up in his work. I was pretty bummed out last night. I take this class, and with all this virus junk going on, we're doing distance learning, and it's largely a lab class. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of old, and so it's easier for me in a traditional school setting where I go in, I'm sitting in front of a teacher, I can ask questions. We didn't even have the book. The book was online, which normally I don't mind, but when you're trying to learn and flip back and forth and look for formulas and stuff, it can be a bit daunting because you can't just flip real quick. You're like scrolling, and then you scroll past, and I got pretty upset, and I got pretty burnt out. And then I was trying to take this test to boot, and I didn't do well. I'll be honest, I failed. And it wasn't until probably about 2 o'clock this morning where I realized what my flaw was. But it just really beat me up. And I think, like Peter, I was too much caught up in the moment and too much burdened in my own sorrow or whatever I was working on in my head to realize that God was there. And I kind of prayed about it, and God's like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's like, well, I'm going to fail the class. You're going to go to hell if you fail the class? No. Are your children going to love you any less? No. Is your wife going to love you any less? No. Do you still have a job? Yes. Are you out a little bit of money? Yes. Are you working and you can make it back? Yeah. a lot of times we get worked up over the wrong things. Now, I find it interesting here that, I heard another thing in another preaching one time about the number of fish they caught. It was I just read it and I already forgot it. Gosh darn it, 150 some. And somebody told me one time that was the known peoples of the time. And the net did not break. So the net, the overflowing net is that basically Jesus was now charging the disciples to go out and catch, set up the church to go out and catch all the men and women and children of the world. And that lays in your hands and my hands. Because our faith isn't to be just lived in our hearts personally, but it is to shine outward. You don't keep a light under a bushel basket or whatever. You set it up on a lampstand. And the light is the good news of Jesus. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try to not get burdened down with the comings and goings of the world, and I'm going to try to focus on being a good man and sharing the gospel today in the best way that I know how. And most of that's just working hard and smiling and being there for others and when they need it. I don't know. Because Jesus show up at any place where you're at. But I got to be able to see him. I don't know.